There is a divide in society that almost nobody names correctly. It is not simply income. It is not education. It is not intelligence. And it is not effort. It is emotional orientation. You can see it in a room within minutes. Some people enter quietly. They don't rush to speak. They don't rush to impress. They don't rush to dominate silence. Others enter scanning for status, scanning for hierarchy, scanning for validation. The difference is not arrogance versus humility. It is internal security versus internal negotiation. There is a reason some people never need to mention their success. There is a reason others feel compelled to. There is a reason some can sit in silence comfortably, and others rush to fill it. There is a reason someone can forget it's payday, and someone else structures their entire month around it. This divide is not moral. It is psychological. Some people use money to build protection. Others use money to protect perception, and most never consciously realize which one they are doing. This is not about blaming the lower class. This is not about glorifying the upper class. It is about understanding a fracture that lives beneath visible behavior. Not income, but identity. Not strategy, but emotional regulation. Not knowledge, but unconscious protection mechanisms. When you look closely, you begin to see something subtle. The upper class tends to protect wealth. The lower class is often forced to protect image. And both behaviors make emotional sense. Before judgment enters, clarity must. Financial behavior is rarely random. It is adaptive. Your nervous system learned early what was dangerous. Rejection, humiliation, instability, invisibility, being underestimated, being dismissed. For some, the primary threat was losing capital. For others, the threat was losing dignity. Money then becomes more than currency. It becomes emotional infrastructure. What appears irresponsible may actually be protection from shame. What appears cold restraint may actually be freedom from social anxiety. Some people were raised where stability was normal. Others were raised where instability was ambient. When stability is normal, you protect capital. When instability is normal, you protect identity. Because if belonging feels fragile, perception becomes survival. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Many people are not chasing luxury. They are chasing relief from humiliation. They are chasing freedom from feeling small. They are chasing the right to not be looked down upon. That is not greed. That is psychological self-defense. At the core, there are two orientations. Security, signaling. Security is quiet. Signaling is visible. Those who feel internally secure about their position rarely need public confirmation. Their nervous system is not negotiating belonging through display. They assume, sometimes unconsciously, that status is stable. And here is something many comments revealed indirectly. Calm is not wealth. Calm is confidence. Many rich people are not calm. Many calm people are not rich. The behavior we label upper class often reflects emotional self-assurance more than tax bracket. Costly signaling theory explains this clearly. When status feels uncertain, signaling increases. When status feels stable, signaling decreases. If I believe I belong, I do not perform belonging. If I fear exclusion, I perform value. That performance may look like logos, volume, interrupting conversations, bragging masked as sharing, obsessive brand allegiance, over-explaining success. But underneath it, there is often one sentence. See me, validate me, don't dismiss me. And here is where the fracture becomes painful. When someone lives paycheck to paycheck, every signal matters more. Because life truly feels different when basic needs are met. When housing is stable, when food is predictable, when bills are manageable, calm becomes possible. But when survival is tight, dignity becomes fragile, and image becomes armor. The car is not just transportation. The clothing is not just aesthetic. The lifestyle post is not vanity. It is protection against invisibility. Protection against being treated as less than. Now here is the subtle diagnostic question. When you spend, are you increasing structural security? Or are you decreasing social insecurity? Those are neurologically different motivations. One builds foundation. The other quiets shame, and shame is loud. Chronic signaling carries hidden costs. Comparison loops activate constantly. Cortisol rises. Stress deepens. Financial fragility compounds. Externally stable. Internally bracing. Scarcity is not only economic. It is neurological memory. If you grew up where safety could vanish overnight, your brain encoded one belief. Security disappears. That encoding does not vanish when income rises. It lingers. Loss aversion, the psychological principle that losses hurt more than gains feel good, intensifies this. For someone with scarcity identity, social loss feels catastrophic. Being perceived as regressing feels dangerous. So visible consumption becomes relief. A purchase signals position. Position reduces perceived threat. Dopamine spikes, but security does not increase. The relief is temporary. This explains why some people inflate lifestyle before stabilizing foundation. They are trying to feel stable before they are stable. But stability identity is different. It develops slowly, often modeled across generations. Delayed gratification without panic, restraint without humiliation, steadiness without urgency. And for someone conditioned by scarcity, steadiness can feel unfamiliar, even threatening, because chaos feels known, and known feels safe even when it is unstable. Quiet wealth is not about superior intelligence. It is about emotional regulation. Delayed gratification studies consistently show long-term outcomes correlate more strongly with emotional stability than IQ. Financial maturity follows the same rule. If emotions spike with every fluctuation, behavior becomes reactive. If ego requires applause, decisions become performative. Quiet wealth looks almost boring. Understated lifestyle, long-term investing, liquidity buffers, strategic patience, no dramatic flexing, no constant proving. There is a phrase that captures this. Money talks, wealth whispers, and what whispers often sounds like this. Equal respect in conversation, not interrupting, comfort with silence, no urgency to dominate, no rush to expose someone else's ignorance. These behaviors are not class. They are confidence. Many people learn them. They are not inherited genetically. They are practiced. One viewer described it perfectly. Smooth on top, paddling underneath. Emotional control does not mean absence of struggle. It means private processing. And here is the contrast. One orientation protects the future self. The other negotiates present discomfort. One compounds quietly. The other must constantly perform. For some, display is not about excess. It is about avoiding ordinariness. There is a silent fear underneath. If I am not visibly advancing, I am invisible. Social comparison theory explains this dynamic. When self-worth depends on external metrics, consumption becomes identity maintenance. Income rises, expenses rise. Not because needs expanded, but because identity maintenance became expensive. Here is a revealing self-audit. If your income dropped by 30%, which expenses would feel inconvenient, and which would feel like identity loss? The latter are not about utility. They are about self-concept. And identity inflation is exhausting. Performances require energy. They require constant updating, and silence feels threatening. This is why some people rush to fill pauses in conversations. Silence creates vulnerability, but someone comfortable internally does not rush to prove. They do not need to. There are two emotional motivations behind wealth behavior: autonomy, dignity. Autonomy says, I want options. I want independence. I want the ability to choose. Dignity says, I don't want to be dismissed. I don't want to be underestimated. I don't want to feel inferior. Both are emotional, but autonomy compounds. Dignity through signaling consumes. There is also a locus of control divide. Internal locus builds quietly. External locus negotiates externally. Some people even fear invisible wealth, because without visible signals, they worry about losing social standing. True financial power, however, is this: the ability to be underestimated without emotional disturbance. That is autonomy. Biology sits underneath this entire divide. Dopamine rewards visibility. Public recognition activates reward circuits more intensely than private accumulation. A visible purchase produces feedback. Silence does not. So the brain often prefers stimulation over stability. But cortisol also plays a role. Living near financial edge increases stress reactivity. High stress impairs long-term planning. So signaling behavior, meant to protect status, can deepen fragility. Restraint can feel threatening if someone grew up equating spending with survival of dignity. If display meant safety, restraint feels like exposure. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Many financial decisions are not economic. They are nervous system negotiations. If any of this feels familiar, pause. This is not condemnation. It is awareness. The first shift is subtle. Stop asking, how do I look? Start asking, how protected is my future? Build private evidence before public proof. Quiet assets build internal confidence. External display without foundation builds anxiety. Before any major expense, ask, does this increase long-term optionality or short-term validation? One compounds. The other creates dependency on perception. Over time, the difference becomes dramatic. One leads to autonomy. The other leads to constant negotiation with image. The divide between protecting wealth and protecting image is not moral. It is developmental. If you were raised around stability, you may optimize for preservation. If you were raised around insecurity, you may optimize for perception. Both are attempts to survive socially, but adulthood offers a choice. You can continue reinforcing identity through display, or redesign your relationship with money around protection, not protection of ego, protection of autonomy. That shift requires tolerating less applause. It requires less proving. It requires redefining class not as income, but as composure. Not as brand, but as regulation. Not as noise, but as signal. High signal, low noise. Restraint, intentionality, calm. These traits are not about upper class. They are about healthy internal structure. And when identity stabilizes internally, behavior stabilizes externally. Money becomes quieter, less emotional, more strategic. If this conversation feels uncomfortable, it may be touching something real. Most people do not need more financial tactics. They need psychological clarity. Income without identity stability produces anxiety. Modest income with emotional regulation can produce peace. The real divide is not upper class versus lower class. It is secure versus negotiating, composed versus proving, designing versus displaying. So here is the question that matters. What are you protecting? Your wealth or your image? And if you are protecting your image, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped? Would you feel invisible, insignificant, exposed? That fear deserves understanding, not shame. Because once identity stabilizes internally, wealth no longer needs to be loud. It becomes quiet, sustainable, intentional, and yours. If this perspective felt less like criticism and more like recognition, this space exists for people who want to explore the psychology beneath money. Not hype, not flexing, not performance, but identity. Because when identity shifts, behavior follows. And when behavior aligns with stability rather than signaling, wealth stops being performance. It becomes protection, quiet, durable, and deeply free.